Okay, here we are today. We're discussing a little bit or showing some of the work on the Bentley Speed 6 in progress that I have going on here. And what you see is the main components of the model, but certainly not everything that I've made so far, but I've got more parts that are done. But here it's in process where I'm trying to adjust and trying to set and determine the ride height, which determines also exactly how I have to make the leaf springs, etc. It's a whole step-by-step, and you have to do it in a very, I don't know, I guess I'd call it compartmentalized and formulated way. So shackles have been put on, mounted to the rear of the frame. I'll just point over here with a barbecue skewer, and you'll see that's in place because we've got the rear end of the rear leaf spring has to attach to that. It's going to be fixed in place, and we'll use my hand in here. This is showing one of the mounts that go the forward portion of the of a rear frame of a leaf spring mount that's going to go over approximately there. So those have to get set in, and those will be mounted onto the frame. Then I need to know the exact ride height so I can shape the leaf springs properly. Determining that was a little iffy because when I saw the car there were questions on it as to whether we were at about 15.5 or 16.5 inches in ground clearance from the ground to the bottom portion of the frame rail that you see there. These cars were really very high, and there's also a lot that's hanging down from underneath the car. There's the belly pan, there's the exhaust pipe, and other components. Anyway, so as I looked at it, and I had it set originally at 16.5 inches, I thought that just looked a little bit too off to me. And this goes back to one of the things I've said for years about you really have to have an eye, or a good eye, when looking at things. It's not just any one area, it's the whole areas of the car. So now you see it mounted on what is a sort of a temporary wood block jig. This, from the bottom of this granite piece that I have here to the top of the wood, which is the bottom of the frame, that's 16.5 inches in scale. Looked a little bit too much, so as I kept going back and forth with photos and information, determined that I probably was going to have to drop it down to about an inch, which again goes back to my notes of it maybe being an inch to inch and a half lower. So for scale and for the right look, that's what it's going to be. It's going to be set at about 15.25, 15.5 inches in scale. So we've got one of the tires and wheels, which is in primer, on top of a shim, which is going to raise the wheels to the point where the suspension will be set and the leafs in place. That will give me a height from the ground to the bottom of the frame rails, 15.5 inches, and I'll be very happy. What you see set in place over here, this gray part, that's a very roughed out shape right now. That's a belly pan that covers over part of the transmission on the car, and it goes further backward, but nonetheless this gives me about the right look, and as I was just trying to visualize it. I'm just going to remove the body just a little bit. You can see on the frame and components that are under here. And that's about all there is to it at the moment. Again, there are more components that I've got. If we pull back a little bit and look over to the left, you'll see some other frame member sections that are here. You also see the front brakes with their brake backings on. And again, everything's got to be set in place as you do it step by step. So that's all for today, kids.